Hello everyone. So this is the summary of the poem God's Grandeur by Gerard Manley Hopkins. So these are the important points. This poem is a sonnet written by James Hopkins in 1877 and published in 1918 posthumously. The meaning of the word grandeur is greatness or magnificence. In this poem, Hopkins appreciates greatness of nature and God. He also feels upset that during the second industrial revolution, people had lost connection with God and nature. He wrote this poem at a time when lots of development was happening in technology, like in electricity, factories, and trains. Although the second industrial revolution had some positive effects too, like it made the life of people better and brought lots of opportunities, but it also damaged nature. Trees were cut down and the land was damaged to get resources. Factories and trains made the air and water dirty, and more cities and suburbs were built, taking away the beauty of the countryside. Industrial Revolution. This poem focuses on the presence of glory and power of nature in contrast with the harmful effects of human industrialization. The poet highlights the magnificence of God's creation and the negative impact of human actions on nature. The poem admires God's presence in the world despite humanity's failed attempts to recognize the interconnectedness among God, nature, and themselves. It conveys a message of being optimistic and hopeful about the glory and power of God despite the harm caused by human beings. This is the text of the poem. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil crushed. Why do men then not rack his rod? Generations have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared smeared with toil, and wears man smudge and shares man smell. The soil is bare now, nor can food feel being shot. So, when the poem opens, the speaker says that the world is full of God's glory and power. He compares this power to a strong electric force. He says that this power is visible the way a silver foil reflects bright and shiny light when it gets moved, or like when oil reaches to its true essence when it is being pressed and crushed. Now, the speaker wonders why people don't pay attention to God's presence. He says that people don't bother of God's power and authority and don't pay attention to the consequences of their actions. In the next lines, the speaker talks about how humans have changed and exploited nature. He says, have trod many times to show how people have been walking and destroying nature on the earth for a long time. Next, he says that due to the growth in industries, natural landscapes have been destroyed. He says that the world has been affected a lot by what humans have done. He says that everywhere we see trade and business, and people have lost the connection with nature and God. In the next lines, speaker says that the ground has now marks of shoes everywhere and has lost the essence of God. Come to the next lines. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness deep down things. And though the last lights of the black west went, or morning at the brown brink eastward springs, because the Holy Ghost over the bent world broods with warm breast and with bright wings. So, in these lines, the speaker says that he hasn't lost hope even though humans have done a lot of harm to nature. Next, he says that despite all the damage humans have done to nature, nature has not lost its power and freshness. Then he talks about hope. He says that darkness is followed by the light in the morning. It means that there is always a chance for a new start, for a new beginning, the way sun rises every day in the east. Finally, the speaker says that God, like mother, cares and protects the troubled world. That's why the speaker is still hopeful that the things will get better despite all the problems. And here the poem ends.